Here's the best part of building a rotary. The first company that ever sponsored us, actually, is a company called Metal Rescue. And we have this concentrate that we're gonna soak this rotor in, and we're gonna see how well it works to take this rust off.
All right, well there it sits. Pretty tough to focus through the water. But that's kind of a before. It's looking clean over here, and then there's rust.
After a lot of trouble, a lot of soaking this thing, a lot of chipping away at side seals, we finally have a clean rotor. We used some of that Metal Rescue stuff and soaked it in it, and it looks great. And we also did a lot of chipping away at this. It really sucked, but it looks like our materials are really good. We're gonna have to do a little bit of sanding here though, because the Metal Rescue left like a little bit of like a protective coating, which is fine for storage. And so it's kind of Fort Knox to get into these, but here they are. Look at these German parts. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. Okay, these are so hard to find. I mean, I was looking on German websites and all this stuff, and thank God this guy makes these sells these original parts. That's perfect. They're a little rusty.
They need to be trimmed?
They need to be trimmed lengthwise, but that's it. Let me go on the better side of the rotor. These are perfect. They're actually perfect.
Dang, and they almost fit like exactly. Like
yeah,
lengthwise,
I don't even know if we're gonna shave them down. We need like thousandths of an inch clearance. I don't want to push them in all the way because there's no spring in there, but
it's perfect.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're about to go back to college, but in the meantime, I just sit on this stuff, and next clip will be hopefully reassembling this entire engine. All right, guys, it is finally time. We have all the pieces for the rotary engine. I did a bunch of research while I was back at school. I found some assembly manuals. I really just went on rotary forums and see what like people do if they're rebuilding like an RX-7 engine or something like that. So we are ready to attack this. That, and these springs were so hard to find. These are the original springs. We're using the old apex seals and all of that stuff. We're using the side corner seals. We're reusing one of the side seals because these are the last 5 I could even get my hands on. They're really good. Side housings are nice. They're a little scratched. There are some slight scores. There's this spot here where the rotor was sitting. They look really good. Same goes for over here.
So we had this sitting in rust remover for a really long time, and it kind of left a little like protective coating, which is really great for it sitting in our garage. But now we kind of need to get all this off, and then there's a little bit of rust around here. So we have the super fine grit sandpaper.
All right guys, so keep in mind, this is 1000 grit sandpaper, and this is not a mating surface. Really, we should put this in a mill and have it remachined, but we have over $1,500 into this engine already. So we're sanding it with a block. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. We're using 1000 grit. All we're doing is taking down the protective coating to where we can see metal throughout, and we'll be good.
So this side is all sanded. It's very smooth to touch, and then bouncing light off of it, there's no visible or imperfection you can feel.
So we have our German parts here, the side seals, and this one already had a rip in it, so I'm not gonna open the bag, but. So basically we have everything laid out here, ready to be installed into the rotor, which is all cleaned up. We have all the springs for everything. The apex seals are pretty clean. They're not showing any like serious signs of wear. They just have some slight pitting on them, but nothing too bad. They're very smooth to the touch. Our rotor's really clean. We have our bearing that goes on the eccentric shaft in. So now we're gonna use some Vaseline and just get all of this all done up. Okay guys, getting the spring in there. And then now time for the seal. That spring's pretty good. Awesome. Hell, it's like a real rotary motor. How about that? Never thought I'd see that again. So now we'll just go kind of in depth on this side because I'm sure a lot of you guys are interested. But each corner seal has 2 springs. Okay, that's springs. Sweet. Very nice. So now we'll put the other one in. Wow, this is beautiful. I'm so happy right now. Y'all, you guys don't know how much we've been like looking for parts on this thing. How much time has been into this build. And now it's finally all coming together nicely. It's really a thing of beauty. Now we just hope and pray that this thing runs. Because if it doesn't, I'm going to be very upset. Installing the last side seal right now. That just goes in real nice. Everything's stringing up really good. Movement is slightly limited because there are globs and globs of Vaseline on this thing, but that's what the rotary guys use, so it doesn't hurt, and it kind of makes a lot of smoke when it burns apparently, so that's always fun. Sweet. So the apex seals are split into 2 halves, so when you're assembling it into the rotor housing, you put the little side in first, that way it lines up all these springs and stuff, and then we're gonna put it into the eccentric shaft, and then we can just install the springs and the rest of the apex seals. All right guys, moment of truth. We are bolting the rotor housings together.
Seems good.
Everything all ready to go here. The rotor's all assembled. So the manual said we need to have the eccentric shaft pointed down, and then we put the point of the rotor towards the spark plug hole.
So we got the bottoms of the apex seals in, and then the Vaseline's holding those so they don't fall out while we hold this upside down.
Oh, there we go, it's in.
There we go. Rotor's in.
That's badass. Okay, cool. So now all we need to do is we need to install the apex seals and the springs.
All right, so here are the apex seal springs, and then there's this little notch on the apex seals, and then this just sits in there. And then the smaller side that's already in there has the same notch. So all we gotta do is you put it so that the kind of U is facing outwards, and then we gotta make sure this is resting on the notch of the bottom part of the seal. Oh, that's in.
Nice.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can kind of tell because push it all the way in, and then when you spring it, it does not come like out all the way. So that should be perfect. And then now we'll just put the top half in. And here's the best part of building a rotary.
This is the stuff I look for right here. I mean, it's beautiful. Going into this, we had no idea what was going on with rotaries or anything like that, but we did the homework and it's all coming together very well. I mean, so now all we need to do is I'm just letting you guys get one last look at this thing before we seal it up for good. I want to keep looking at it because it's just so cool. So we'll seal up the other side of the case, and then we're torquing down the bolts around the casing, and that's going to be kind of sketchy, but hopefully all goes well, and these bolts are pretty strong, so let's put the other side on.
Okay guys, say goodbye. This is the last look at this beautiful rotor. There we go.
It looks so cool from the outside too.
Oh yeah.
We got a couple of dowel pins. There we go.
Dang, that slid together nicely.
Now it's time for the
Sweet.
bolts. Okay guys, so we got these extra long bolts here. So Jason's just getting them snug down.
Just hand tight.
That way they're holding in. Then we got all the other hardware here that's ready to be installed. So cue the time lapse of threading on the bolts in here.
It's gonna be fun.
And hopefully that's not throwing torque wrenches.
Okay, that is 6 foot-pounds. It's all torqued up. Wow.
Every single bolt, baby.
Okay.
Dang.
So we got the spark plug in it now, and let's see if it makes noises. Hey, actually. Whoa.
Yeah, that sounds like pretty good.
Yeah, it sounds pretty. It feels all right. There's not like a ton, but also it's a rotary, so it's not gonna have huge compression anyway. Yeah, it's promising though.
Me gusta.
Yeah, that Vaseline makes a lot of noise.
Dude, that's so cool.
Dang.
Alright guys, a long time ago we took the transmission off of this thing. So now we gotta put the flywheel, everything back onto this bad boy, starter, and man, it's beautiful. Actually thinking about it, and before we like do too much work and put all the transmission stuff on, we're actually gonna try to get it running with the electric starter and this little flywheel here. So we're not gonna put the transmission on just yet. We're gonna try to get it running first. That way we're not kind of wasting our time. But here's the little flywheel. So all this really is an adapter for the transmission as well as something that holds the starter in. So it really just kind of lines up through these dowels. And then there's only like 4 bolts that hold this thing in. They're all pretty small, but there we go. And then we got these 2 here, along with the 2 starter bolts. And then I'll just cut ahead, and then there's this, which is basically the pinion gear that goes into the transmission. Then that slides on here. Then there's a washer you bend up, kind of like just like to keep the nut on, and then the nut goes there. So we'll get that all assembled, but so far this thing is looking super good.
Okay, so it's a little makeshift and not super beautiful, but we made this real strong mount for this, so it'll be super easy to, unfortunately we did not get the starter working, I don't know, we're not really sure what's wrong with it. I don't think it'll ever work, but we will be able to bolt up the transmission and kickstart it with this mount, so that'll be super convenient.
There we go.
Okay.
Final touches before we can really start cranking this thing up. The side cover, this kind of just adds support to the 2 shafts that come out here, so nice to put it on. And it's gonna protect our clutch gears and all that. I'll press the O-ring back in. But, dang, this engine looks so nice. We still need to throw the front cover on it and stuff, but I mean, this thing is doing really well.
And arguably the best part,
Crowning jewel.
beautiful fan cover. This thing is complete.
Looks like an engine again, guys.
Yeah.
Got this nice little stand for it. It's actually made out of bits of Odyssey roll cage, so it's pretty much good to go. This is a long video and there's a lot going into it so far. So basically what I'm gonna do is this is gonna conclude part 2 of the rotary rebuild. And then what we can do is just the next part is going to be just us working on it, doing wiring, trying to get the ignition system going, trying to get a fuel system going, and then just firing this thing up for the first time. Fingers crossed, although I'm not posting these videos if we don't get it running, so stay tuned for part 3.